Hey Hayden, it's good to have you on this afternoon, and I want you to introduce yourself to everybody. Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, my name's Hayden Robinson. I live in Mount Vernon, Kentucky, about 40 miles south of Lexington, if you've ever been there. I'm 24 years old. I'm a second year high school math teacher at our local high school, so things are looking pretty good for me right now in terms of that.
Awesome. How old are you again?
I'm 24 years old.
Very good. And as far as what you do at church, you're a congregational teacher, meaning you teach once or twice a month. Is that about right?
Yeah, it's about right. I teach at least one Wednesday a month, and then on some Sundays when I need to fill in when nobody else can.
Well, I've heard you teach before, and I know that you're a good Bible student, and so we wanted to entrust you with our responsibility of teaching two topics for our young speakers meeting. One was about being unashamed to preach the gospel. Will you tell me a little bit about what you've got in mind for us come the end of May?
So I did a lot of studying on this, and in Romans chapter 1, verse 16, Paul talks about uh, to be unashamed of the gospel because the power of God unto salvation. And then in verse 17, he talks about how it's spread unto faith to faith. And so really we have two kind of ideas there. We have to obey the gospel initially. We have to reenact the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. And that's a big portion of obeying the gospel. But a big portion of Paul's command there in verse 17 is that after we've been baptized and after we've obeyed that gospel, we must continue spreading the gospel from faith to faith. And so that charge is to what I believe is non-Christians and Christians, and that's something that every one of us need to be considering to be unashamed of. And I'm going to talk about several different ways in both scenarios that we can be ashamed and how we shouldn't be ashamed because of what God has done for us and has shown for us.
Yeah, I think that's something that this is a young speakers meeting focused on young people. Something that especially I feel like young people struggle with, just that lack of confidence.
Hmm.
So I'm sure that you'll infuse us with some courage there. The second topic, I'm not sure exactly what night you're going to be presenting these on, but anybody watching can refer to the flyer. The other one was about being unashamed to worship God from the heart. Was that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Tell us just a little snippet of what you're going to be talking about there.
So being unashamed to worship God in the heart. There's a lot to go into that. Because when I think of worship, the first thing that my mind goes to, my mind drifts to, is our corporate worship of the church. Like we come together as a congregation once or twice, sometimes three times a week, and we worship together as a congregation. But really, we need to worship God each and every day that we are allowed to live on this earth. And so there's a lot of different things that go into that. And I want to talk a little bit the night I'm supposed to be preaching this topic on Acts chapter 16, because really we have two fantastic examples of worship there. In the beginning of that chapter, you have Lydia and the other women who've come to the river to worship, and they're in a situation where maybe they're the only women, or maybe they're the only Jews left in that city who have been worshiping God correctly. And so that's a great example that we can look at. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. And of course, later on in that chapter, we have Paul and Silas who've been imprisoned, and in the middle of the deepest, darkest, dreariest place in the prison, the Bible says that they were singing and praying, and not only could the prisoners hear, but we're told that the jailer could hear as well. And we learned a great deal about how that can affect other people's lives. And so I hope to examine really just Acts 16 in those two ways and understand how worship differs and how we can take that to our lives and apply that to our lives.
Awesome. I'm really looking forward to that one. It's one I've not really, I don't know, heard a whole presentation on.
Mhm.
There's a lot of different ways you can take that. I like what you have, what you've shared with us so far. Well, I just appreciate you taking the sacrifice to come down here in about 3 or 4 weeks, and
Yeah,
we're really looking forward to it.
I'm really looking forward to it too. And I appreciate the opportunity to speak for y'all.